Welcome to Thorn Shade. Mother Teresa said that we can't do great things, but we can do small things in a great way. Sadly, though, when I look at our elected body, it seems we can't even do small things. Currently, in the country, there are 56,000 bridges that are below the standard. They are in some way compromised. 56,000 all across the country. The infrastructure of this country is crumbling, and it will be impossible to resolve until we do one thing. And I'll give you the answer to that in a minute. But before we do that, folks have got to wonder how it got this bad. History lesson for everybody. I'm from West Virginia. If you come to West Virginia, you can't help but drive across Robert C. Byrd Highway. You'll see a Robert C. Byrd High School, a Robert C. Byrd Medical Center. The Junior Center from West Virginia was John D. Rockefeller IV. We called him J. And in that same way, you'll see a J. Rockefeller Education Center. You'll see a J. Rockefeller Library. You'll see all these infrastructure projects with the name of these two senators on them. Now, if you go to Pennsylvania, it will be John Murtha. But either way, each of those senators were able to bring resources to the state of West Virginia. So it didn't matter that whether you're the oil billionaire or if you come from humble beginnings as Robert Byrd did, you could deliver to your constituents. And every state has that guy. Every state in the union has that guy. As a matter of fact, so one of the things that happened is because Robert Byrd was so effective at getting resources for West Virginia, people kind of started hating on that idea. And John Boehner, who was leading the Senate at that time, started this campaign against what he called pork earmarks, where people would get things done for their particular state. So when he began this campaign against the earmarks, you took out of the legislature a tool that had been used to bring buildings and infrastructure to states for decades. The problem was they didn't replace it with anything. There was nothing to put in its place. And so in that void, because nature abhors a vacuum, in that void came rhetoric. As a matter of fact, the country got to that place where you did not gain traction as a political party by cooperating. You gained traction as a party by resisting. Everyone remembers Mitch McConnell standing up after Barack Obama's election and saying his goal was to see that Barack Obama was a one-term president. The obstruction, it wasn't the doing that gained traction for the Republican Party. It was the lack of work. It was the lack of cooperation. And so that became the tool, that became the way by which the party gained some kind of strength and endeared its constituents. The problem with that is when we began this dance, it meant that people who owned the language, rhetoric became the currency. So the people that owned the language became the most powerful people in the party. So if you're wondering how Rush Limbaugh became so powerful and so famous, Now you know, because he owned the rhetoric. See, you didn't have to do anything. All you had to do was scream and be in opposition. You didn't have to bring in resources. You didn't have to build a library or fix a road or establish a post office. It is the rhetoric that became the currency of the party, and those with the most powerful rhetoric, with the loudest bullhorn, became the leaders. And so they went to CPAC in the term before Donald Trump was elected, and the talk around CPAC was that Rush Limbaugh was the de facto leader of the Republican Party. And it's the other reason. So what had happened is they took the propaganda of the party, much like Germany did in World War II, and made it a currency. And it's one of the reasons that racist rhetoric or racially toned rhetoric became powerful as well, because it was the language that was the currency. It was the language that had value. It was the language that brought people and committed them to the party, not what they delivered, but if they spoke in a way that captured the minds and the grievances of their constituents. And so, as I mentioned, there is one solution to moving forward, to getting things done in the country, and that is to bring back earmarks, to bring back that idea that is as old as, for as long as men have been bargaining. It is the quid pro quo of resources. It's the quid pro quo of legislation. I'll vote for your farm bill if you'll vote for my mining bill. I'll vote to see that you have water if you will vote to see that I have fuel. It is that exchange. It is that dance that will bring us back to that place where there is an effectiveness. There is an effectiveness about the people that we elect to represent our ideas in the Congress. Or, what I don't know. I'm just throwing shade. Thanks for spending some time with me this morning. I look forward to seeing you next week.